In my budget speech last year, I stated that the profit-linked deductions are inherently inefficient and liable to misuse. To incentivize business in priority sectors, I introduced investment-linked deduction as an alternative to profit-linked deduction. To give a boost to investment in the tourism sector, which has high employment potential, I propose to extend the benefit of investment-linked deduction under the Act to new hotels of 2-star category and above anywhere in India. To provide one-time interim relief to the housing and real estate sector, which was impacted by the global recession, I propose to allow pending projects to be completed within a period of 5 years instead of 4 years for claiming a deduction on their profit. I also propose to relax the norms for built-up area of shops and other commercial establishments in housing projects to enable basic facilities for their residents. All business with a turnover exceeding rupees 40 lakhs are currently required to have their accounts audited. A similar provision also applies to all professions whose receipts exceed rupees 10 lakh. I, as Finance Minister, had introduced these limits in my budget in 1984. It is high time to reduce the compliance burden on small taxpayers. I therefore propose to enhance these limits to rupees 60 lakh in the case of business and rupees 15 lakhs in the case of the professionals. To facilitate the business operations of small taxpayers, I had extended the scope of presumptive taxation to all small business with a turnover of up to rupees 40 lakh. To further reduce the compliance burden on small taxpayers, I now propose to enhance this limit to rupees 60 lakh. The threshold limits of payments below which tax is not deductible at source have remained unchanged for a long time. I propose to rationalize these thresholds. Relaxing the current provisions on disallowance of expenditure, I propose to allow the deduction of such expenditure if tax has been deducted at any time during the financial year and paid before the due date of filing the return. This will allow most deductors additional time up to September of the next financial year. At the same time, I propose to increase the interest charged on the tax deducted but not deposited by the specific date from 12% to 18% per annum. Last year, I had provided for the taxation of the newly introduced limited liability partnership on the same lines as exists for a general partnership form. To facilitate the conversion of small companies into LLPs, I propose that these will not be subjected to capital gains tax. Under the current provisions of the Act, the advancement of any object of general public utility cannot be considered a charitable purpose if it involves carrying on any activity in the nature of trade, commerce or business. I have received representations from many organizations seeking some relaxations in this restriction. I propose that these restrictions would not be applicable if the receipts from such activities do not exceed rupees 10 lakh in the year. My proposal on the direct taxations are estimated to result in a revenue loss of rupees 26,000 crore for the year. Madam Speaker, now I turn around indirect taxes. The major objectives that have guided me in the formulation of my proposals on indirect taxes are the need to achieve some degree of fiscal consolidation without impairing the recovery process and moving forward on the road to GST. Unlike the time I presented the last budget, symptoms of economic recovery are more widespread and clear-cut now. The 3 fiscal stimulus package that the government introduced in quick succession have helped the process of recovery significantly. The improvement in our economic performance encourages a course of fiscal correction, even as the global situation warrants caution. Therefore, I propose to partially roll back the rate reduction in the central excise duties and enhance the standard rate on all non-petroleum products from 8% to 10% ad valorem. The specific rates of duty applicable to Portland cement and cement clinker are also being adjusted upwards proportionately. Similarly, the ad valorem component of the excise duty on large cars, multi-utility vehicles and sports utility vehicles, which was reduced as part of the first stimulus package, is being increased by 2 percentage points to 22%. In the wake of the spiraling petroleum prices, government provided full exemption from basic customs duty to crude petroleum and proportionately reduced the basic duty on the refined petroleum products in June 2008. Compared to the international price of the Indian crude basket of $112 per barrel at that time, the prices are much softer at present. In view of the pressing need to move back to the fiscal consolidation path, I propose to restore the basic duty of 5% on crude petroleum, 7.5% on diesel and petrol, and 10% on the other refined products. I also propose to enhance the central excise duty on petrol and diesel by ₹1 per litre each. Since I quit smoking many years ago, I would urge the others to also follow suit, as smoking is injurious to health. To this end, I am making some structural changes in the excise duty on cigarettes, cigars and cigarillos, coupled with some increase in the rates. I also propose to enhance excise duty on all non-smoking tobacco, such as scented tobacco, snuff, chewing tobacco, etc. In addition, I propose to introduce a compounded levy scheme for chewing tobacco and branded unmanufactured tobacco based on the capacity of the pouch packing machines. Madam Speaker, let me now turn to much needed incentives in the thrust areas for sustainable growth and development. In supporting the strategy outlined for development of agriculture, earlier in my speech, I propose to address a few key. Please listen. Just listen. After that you will get time.